Hey there, Dan here. Hope you're doing well as always. Now, I wanted to make this video today because I'm beginning to see a consistent pattern inside of the questions that I'm being asked from people who are very interested in joining the KDP Permanent Cashflow Program, which is my program, and more specifically, learning my strategy to build a permanent passive income with public domain books inside of the KDP platform, right? So, these questions that I generally get asked, and they're becoming more and more consistent, they're usually to do with specific blocks that people have inside of their minds where they think could be a problem with making money using the public domain strategy. So guys, I'm here to bust these myths today, and I want to do it all in one video, so I no longer need to consistently keep answering the same questions inside of my DMs, all right? So the first question that I get, guys, and this one's a good one, is, Dan, what about the competition? All right, so the first question is competition. And what people mean when they say, Dan, what about the competition, is they essentially mean that, look, I'm going to use Peter Pan, right? Peter Pan is a public domain book, and I like to use the Peter Pan example because everybody knows Peter Pan, right? Now, guys, I'm well aware that Peter Pan is not public domain in the UK and specific parts of Europe, so just know I know this, okay? But Peter Pan is public domain in the US of A, where most of the sales come from anyway. So guys, this is the question I get asked. Damn, if Peter Pan already exists on the KDP platform, if somebody's already selling it, then why would anyone buy my Peter Pan, right? This is the question I get asked a lot, guys. Now, essentially, look, I like to use this specific analogy, and I call it the speaker analogy, to explain this, guys, about healthy competition and business, essentially, at the end of the day. Because every single business that has a product in this entire world has competition. There's somebody who has an extremely similar or identical almost product that is going in competition, and they're vying for the customer's attention. This is healthy business practices, right? Nobody has a specific monopoly over any product in this entire world. And if they do, there's government bodies that exist out there to bust monopolies, right? Because we need healthy competition. It drives down prices and keeps things fair for the consumer. And this is exactly the same thing, guys, right? The reason why people will buy your product over somebody else's product who's seemingly very similar, our products are definitely not the same, right? The internal manuscript is not even the same. Perhaps the words are, but the way you format your manuscript, everything inside of that book is different to your competition's. So all of these factors, all of these variables play a part in why someone would buy your Peter Pan over somebody else's Peter Pan, right? So let's have a look at these variables for a minute. Let's have a look. Internals, right? Covers, descriptions, titles, and the last one is the most important one, and it is visibility. Now, before I cover these things, guys, I just want to go back to that speaker analogy. If you have a Sony speaker and you have a Samsung speaker, both of these speakers are essentially the same product, right? They do the same thing. They both produce quality sound. And if you're looking at speakers in the same sort of price range, they're going to be around the same size, look very similar, but you will always buy one over the other. One of them is going to win out. Depending on which customer comes along, they're going to buy one over the other, which actually gives me another variable that I forgot to mention here, guys, price. This is essentially business 101, right? People will buy things based on specific variables because products are almost identical today. Look, if I'm going to buy a computer, a laptop, right? I'm going to look at specific specs, but they're all so similar that I'm going to buy the one that markets to me best, which is another variable, guys, marketing. And this actually goes right to our descriptions, right? Because these books don't necessarily need to be marketed, not in the traditional sense. These books are timeless classics. They have an occult following already. People know what these books are, just like you know what Peter Pan is, right? So when our prospects come along, or our potential customers come along, and they're searching and they see our books, they're going to have a choice between multiple titles of the same book, right? This is where healthy competition comes into play. And this is where visibility is important, right, guys? Visibility. So inside the KDP Permanent Cashflow Program, we first focus on having our books extremely visible. And the way we do this is through organic strategies like Amazon SEO, guys, essentially, right? I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've been able to just really get rid of all of the nonsense that people try to make SEO so complicated. It's not complicated. We can outrank our competition quite easily using the strategies inside of the KDP Permanent Cashflow Program. So first off, we have visibility over our competition. And then we look at other factors like the internals of the book, the covers, the titles. And when I say titles, guys, I mean like title structures. So you can structure your title in multiple different ways. And this is called optimization, right? So for all of these things, titles, covers, internals, and price, we're talking about optimization here. So let's just link these ones up, all right? We're talking about optimization. And what I mean by that is when we publish our books, you will get my strategy. And inside my strategy, I've already optimized everything to its best possible quality standard. And what I mean by that is if we're going to build a cover, we're going to build it in a specific way that we know sells. Now, everybody's different, and everybody's books will go in a different way, like a different trajectory, right? Depending on their sales. And I'm going to teach you how to optimize things like your cover yourself, right? So I'm going to give you my baseline optimization, and you're therefore going to take that optimization and you're going to optimize it further based on your own specific sales in whatever genre that your books are selling in, right? So if you've got Peter Pan, you're looking at the fantasy genre, right? And if Peter Pan's selling extremely well, you're going to look at what you did on that cover. Is it the cover that's making this book sell well? Does it have the visibility? It should have if you're following my program, right? The internal of that book, the way that I taught you how to structure the manuscript, is that playing a part in the sales, right, of this book? The way that you've structured the title, that you've written the title out inside of the title metadata field, is that playing a part? And then price, guys. Obviously, we need to be competitive on price, but price really doesn't mean everything. I have some books that are way above the highest price on the KDP platform, and they are killing it because I've really dialed in all of these other variables like internals, covers, descriptions, right? The marketing is the description, the visibility, and price is sort of the last thing that you have to worry about essentially at the end of the day. Now, so what I'm getting at here, guys, is we can compete against people who have what you perceive as the same book as ours, because it's not the same, right? It is not the same. And the prospect, when they come along, they're going to see that. They're going to see your book there front and center first, right? They're going to see this spectacular cover that's been created and optimized to suit their needs. It's very visually appealing to that specific prospect's eyeballs in that fantasy space, right? Then they're going to look at your description, which you have also optimized using my strategy to really appeal to that specific prospect, that specific type of person who's searching for those fantasy books, okay? And then they're going to look at the price last. Really, guys, at the end of the day, that's what they do. You will get, that's the buying journey of a prospect. They're going to come in, they're going to see what's first on the page, and then the cover is going to grab their attention, that attention that we're all vying for inside of this space, right? And then they're going to click on that and look at the description. They're going to read it. The description is your sales copy. If you have this optimized, you've got the sale. That's just how it works at the end of the day, guys. So really, competition is a non-factor when you use my strategy in the KDP Permanent Cashflow Program. Now, there is another factor that I want to talk about when it comes to competition, and that is it's extremely low, right? The competition is extremely low. Now, I get it that people come up against that roadblock and they think, but these are the same books. Now, I've just explained to you that they're not. They're really not the same books. It depends how you put your book together and what strategy you use to optimize that book to make it better than your competition, because we've already established that every business and every product has a healthy competition, and it's necessary to keep the marketplace fair. Right? It's business 101. No matter what business you go into, you're going to have similar product that you are competing against and vying for your prospects' attention. However, with public domain books, the competition is extremely low, right? Let's look at low content books, for example. Low content books might have 30 to 40,000 people vying for your prospect's attention in that specific niche, right? And public domain books, so let's just write that down. Low content, let's just say 20,000, right? 20,000 to be realistic. 20,000 people vying for the prospect's competition inside, sorry guys if that sun is on there, hang on, let me have a look. A little bit better, but still there. Sorry about that. Anyway, they're all vying for the prospect's eyeballs to fall onto their book. And yeah, I get it. They're low content books are different, right? They're not similar. Well, they are, because they're in the same niche. So every single person in that niche is your competition. Now, when it comes to public domain books, how many competition do you think we have? 7, 8 books, 7 or 8 people competing against us. It's a no-brainer. What would you rather go against? 20,000 people vying for your prospect's attention, or 7? Guys, do you think using my strategy, realistically, that we can outsmart and beat 7 people to get that sale? I think we can. I know we can, guys. So look, there's really nothing more to say about this factor when it comes to competition. I would much rather go up against 7 people than 20,000 people in a niche, right? Trying to sell my book on Kindle Direct Publishing. If we get all of this right, we make the sale every time, guys. So that's competition. Now, the next question that I get from people a lot is copyright, Dan. What about copyright? So let's have a look at that. Now, guys, we have very specific strategies and processes inside of the KDP Permanent Cashflow Program to ensure that we always stay within law and policy. These two things are extremely important when working with public domain. We've simplified this thing so much that it only takes about 12 seconds to figure out whether the book that we want to publish is within law and policy on the KDP platform. Now guys, it's really easy. It's inside of my program. I give you some specific links that you can just go in, type in your book name, you'll find out whether you can publish it or not, and then you can go ahead and publish it. There's really nothing more to be said about the copyright factor. It is another non-issue. All right, guys. So the next question that I get a lot is, Dan, how much does it cost after I invest into your program and I start implementing the strategy? What's it going to cost me after the initial investment? So, cost. Guys, the cost that is involved in implementing my strategy is this. $0. Now, I'll tell you why. That might seem a little unrealistic to people, because if you come from the low no content space, you're always buying internals, you're outsourcing artwork. If you come from the ghostwriting space, you're having people write, you're having to hire editors, you're having to hire cover creators and all these things. With my strategy in the public domain, we actually don't spend a cent to implement this strategy. And I'll tell you why. When I first started doing this, right, guys, when I first started figuring out this strategy, I was homeless, right? I used to work out of a library. I used to go to a library in a little place called Morisset on the Central Coast in New South Wales, Australia. I used to go to this little dank old library because I was homeless, right? And I would spend my days there reading books, trying to get knowledge into my brain so I could get myself out of the situation that I found myself in at a very young age. And during that time, I noticed there was computers there and internet access, right? And you could get 1 hour a day free internet on their computers. Now, I went to work on their computers, and after some time, I figured out this strategy. Well, not the entire strategy, right? But I figured out Kindle Direct Publishing and that you could make money with it and whatnot. So I went to work developing this strategy over the next few years, and I got myself out of poverty and all this stuff. Guys, I'm writing a book that you will learn all this about. I don't really want to go right into it right now. However, the reason why everything cost $0 to implement in this strategy is because I had $0 when I created it, right? I couldn't afford to buy shiny tools. And guys, at the end of the day, this strategy still works extremely well without shiny tools. You don't need them. They're just a distraction to getting the job done. Just get the job done, get it done well, get it done right the first time, and you're going to consistently make a passive income on Kindle Direct Publishing platform. So guys, the short answer of it is, once you buy into the program and the initial investment to work with me and have me as your coach, you're going to spend $0 implementing the strategy. Okay? And the last question that I get, guys, is in regards to reviews. Now, this question is not specific to public domain. It could pertain to any sort of book where somebody just writes up a bad review for you, and what are you meant to do in that instance, guys? Like, we've all been through that, right? But the big difference with my program is public domain gives you instant reviews. Yes, you heard that right. So, reviews. Now, because of public domain, we publish using our original author's name and our original title, right? Because we don't own these. We can't put a pen name to these books. These books belong to that original author and original title, so they should be published under their name and the original title, right? Because that author spent a lot of time and effort writing that book, and we must respect that. And it's also law, okay? We need to stay within the law. So because of this, Amazon actually grant us instant reviews. So we could publish a book today and have 3,000 instant reviews on that book. Now, guys, 99% of these reviews are good. You will have a couple in there that are bad, right? But if you've got just say even 2,500 awesome reviews and 500 not so good ones on your book, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Your rankings instantly jump up, and this is where it comes back here to visibility, guys. Your rankings instantly jump up when you get these reviews. You instantly have credibility on the platform, and you start making sales very fast. It's just another perk, instant reviews, of working with the KDP Permanent Cashflow Program. Now, guys, hopefully that answered and covered a lot of the common questions that you have. Let's just quickly go over this one last time. Competition is really a non-factor because our strategy is so strong that we always outvie our competitors when it comes to our prospects actually looking at our books and wanting to purchase them. Plus, we only have a very small amount of competition. Even if we had 20 people with the same book, we can absolutely outrank 20 of the same book. Now, actually, I wanted to touch on another subject when it comes to competition, because you might think, yeah, but Dan, you're teaching people how to do this, right? So there's going to be more than 20 people publishing the same book. This is not true, guys, because the way that I teach how to do this, and this is the correct way to do everything when it comes to business, is follow your own sales data. So I'm not saying to people, hey, here's a list of books, go publish them. No, right? What happens is I will initially give you a list of books that I know you're going to make sales with, and you're going to go out and publish those books. And once you've published those books, you're going to see what sells. And from what sells, you're going to follow that specific data to publish your next lot of books. So for example, if Peter Pan sells, here's Peter Pan again, you're going to focus on other books that are written by the same author, and you're going to publish them into the market. And then you're also going to focus on other books that are in the fantasy space or very similar to Peter Pan. You're going to publish them into the market. And why you do this, you're also going to look at these other variables like internals, covers, descriptions, titles, pricing, right? And you're going to optimize these in that specific genre as you go. And then, guys, guess what happens? Once these are optimized and you've found your niche or genre, right? And you consistently publish into that niche or genre using your optimized variables, you just make sales consistently. That's how this happens. And we're making sure we've got our visibility in check. So it's just a win-win situation. You cannot lose publishing using my strategy, guys. So I just wanted to quickly cover that as well. And then copyright, we're always within law and policy. It's massive. In 9 years of doing this, I've never once as much as had an email from Amazon saying that something's not right, because I make sure that we're always within law and policy. Cost, guys. What is the cost of actually implementing the strategy after you buy into the program? $0. We've already established this. And then reviews, guys. We also we get instant reviews on our books, which pushes up our visibility and ranking almost overnight, guys. So look, what else can I say about this? If there's any more questions that you might have, just reach out to me via PM, but I'm pretty sure we've covered most of the major questions here, and I hope to talk to you all again soon. Have a good day.